CyberSchool, mounting the first graduate cybersecurity school in France.
The graduate school, CyberSchool, for the training in cybersecurity. Goal of this project is to double the number of trainees in cybersecurity. 10 partners in Rennes, IMT Atlantique, Centrale Supelec, INSA Rennes. We will present the ecosystem, how we create this project, what is the objective, how we deal with all the management of the school. Glad to have doubled the number of students at the university.
Welcome to talk.cybercni.fr.
Bienvenue.
Welcome to Talk CyberCNI, already the 10th edition today, and I'm very happy to welcome the CyberSchool today in person of Pierre Fouque and Frédéric Renouard. But before I present the two, let me briefly explain to you, as usual, the setup with the questions. So let me just switch to the view there. Okay. Here we go. Back. Okay, so I'm back. So you've seen the link. It says slido.com, and then as usual we have cybercni/10 as the shortcut. And you will also see it in during the presentation on the left. I will show it. And as usual, ask a lot of questions, because then we have a very interesting discussion in the end. And you also join the second channel, because in the second channel you can see what are the other questions. You can upvote questions, and that's quite interesting because it's interactive in the discussion, obviously. Good. So then we're ready for the 10th edition of your monthly cybersecurity speaker series. And as you know, the goal of the speaker series is raising awareness for cybersecurity issues, because it's a very important topic in our society. And therefore, I'm super happy today to have the CyberSchool present in the speaker series, because the CyberSchool, as we'll hear, probably has a very similar mission, namely forming engineers in cybersecurity, which is super important, and maybe also something for you to join this program in the future. As said at the beginning, our two speakers are Pierre Fouque and Frédéric Renouard. Pierre is the CyberSchool director. He's a researcher and a professor at the University of Rennes 1, and he is the scientific director of the CyberSchool. His research involves symmetrical and public key cryptography, proof of security protocols used in real life, such as TLS or Signal, attacks by auxiliary channels, and the development of automatic attack detection tools by learning. And he's a member of the INSA and doing his research there. So that's also great to know, because now you have a little bit his background. And Frédéric Renouard is the operational manager at the CyberSchool. He joined the University of Rennes 1 in 2010 to develop the EIT Digital Center in Rennes and other initiatives to foster European cooperation in education and innovation. Previously, Frédéric spent 12 years with Alcatel in various technical and management positions. He then contributed to the creation and development of 3 startups in the telecom and software industries, which are Talisma, OpenPlug, and Trusted Logic. And if you have questions to their background and so on, also don't hesitate to put them in the question box. So without further ado, I hand over to you, Pierre, and Frederick for the presentation.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So with Frederick, we will present you the project CyberSchool. But first of all, our aim is to give you how we create this project and what is in fact the CyberSchool, this graduate school in cybersecurity. So during this presentation, we will explain you how we create the project and what we are doing since the project began since 1 year. But we would like to point out that this is an ongoing project, and regularly we are studying if we have any new opportunities for developing new interest or new contact with the CyberSchool. So if you are interested in participate to this project, don't hesitate to contact us. So so this project is born from the fact that, in fact, cybersecurity is facing a major training and recruitment problem. So the main goal is that there are millions of positions that are not fulfilled now. And we want to solve part of this problem, not all this problem, because we cannot train such many students, but our goal is to focus on security experts. And so the project of CyberSchool is to develop master student, engineer school student, up to the PhD. So there are a lot of different cyber security attacks recently, if we think about SolarWinds or Pegasus. And so now the problem is very important, also because of the ransomware that are touching some medical centers. So we all know that we have some things to do. And so solutions that we develop at the CyberSchool is in fact that due to such many attacks, we want that the student understand clearly how works this attack in order to develop some countermeasure. And so we think that the students have to be up to the state of the art to develop such protection. And that's the reason why we focus on a security expert that will be trained to develop such protection. Why have we decided to create this graduate school in Rennes? So Rennes is in the Brittany region in the west of France. And in fact, so there are a lot of ministry components in Rennes for 50 years ago. And now, since 2014, in fact, there is the Cybersecurity Excellence Cluster that has been created, which is a national-wide institution. And in particular, in Brittany, this cluster, in fact, bring a lot of company in order to create what they call the Cyber Valley. So in the Cyber Valley, there is a lot of company, either big companies such as Thales, Airbus, Orange, but also a lot of SMIs such as Amosys, Sequoia, Synactive, SecureIC, and Glimpse also. So there is a lot of, so the ecosystem is very dense, and there is a close relationship between this company and also the academic and training university and engineer school. So we thought that it was a good opportunity to have to train the PhD students close to the company. So what is the CyberSchool? So the CyberSchool is in fact a graduate school in cybersecurity. And in fact, this project is funded by the ANR in France, which is agencies that fund a research project. And so the goal is very specific about the master and the PhD. So the CyberSchool is also interested in the bachelor level, but the main focus of the project is now on the master and PhD. So we would like to train to double the number of PhD students and the number of master students. And so our focus is about experts in cybersecurity and researcher. So as I told you, the main interest of building this project is Rennes is in fact because there is a dense relationship between the company in cybersecurity and also the academic partners. So so the teaching is in French and in English. It depends, in fact, on the professor, but it's possible to have a full curriculum in English if you want. And the school is built in the east of Rennes, which is the Beaulieu campus. So there are 10 partners in the cyber school. So there are 4 engineer schools, such as INSA, which is an engineer school in artificial intelligence, sorry. The INSA Rennes, which is an engineer school, which is very general, but are specific about and interested about security. In IMT, I think a lot of you know what is this engineer school, because the CNI chair is located in this school. And Centrale Supelec, which is a very old engineer school, because I think that's the first training program in cybersecurity in Rennes has been created in this school. So besides these schools, there are also some universities. So University of Rennes 1 and Rennes 2, and also the École Normale Supérieure of Rennes and Sciences Po Rennes, which are joined the project. So we have also 2 research lab in computer science, such as the CNRS and the INRIA. So we are also grateful to be funded by the Defense Ministry, the Rennes Métropole, which is the city of Rennes, and the Brittany region. So this doctoral school is also located with 5 different research labs. So there is IRISA, which is the lab in computer science, the CREST, which is the lab in machine learning and artificial intelligence, and the IRMA, which is a research lab in mathematics in Rennes, and the IETR, which is a lab in electronics in Rennes. And the IOD is in fact the research lab in humanities and social science. So now I will let Frédéric present the main objective of the project.
Yeah, so good afternoon, everybody. So now, if we look at the actually simple objective of the cyber school, what's it? It's only to increase the number of master and doctoral degree students. And that's very important for the reasons that were exposed before. So this is a goal, of course, at the master level. So where the goal is to more than double the throughput and the graduated students during the project. That's also true for the doctoral candidates, where the aim is to increase sharply the number of doctoral candidates in cybersecurity. So that's of course easy to say, but it's not so easy to achieve, because actually in cybersecurity, as we observe, the key point is to broaden the intake and to get enough motivated students to choose a career in an area that may seem sometimes narrow or difficult to understand what will be the options later on the job market. And so we have to be very strong in marketing and promoting the programs. And so this is really a matter of making all these training programs in cybersecurity more visible and attractive. It's also a matter, we have of course to grow the quantity of students, but we have also to grow the quality. We have to grow the quality because we want to bring to the job market experts that will be able to tackle difficult problems in industry. And we also want to grow the number of students that will continue with a PhD thesis, and in order to grow also the research base around the cyber school. So it's growing the quantity, the quality of students, and also of course, the training resources. We need teachers to achieve that. We need all kinds of resources to achieve that. So it's really growing all that together. The second objective, it's really the color, the specific color of the cyber school, is to implement a research-based education. And this is very important for many reasons. I was talking about growing the research base around the cyber school, but it's also about training students and future professionals that will be able to leverage state-of-the-art results and research results in their job. And because, of course, we all know that the cyber risk evolves fast. So new solutions have to be used to face new problems, and this has to be at a very high pace. So that's also a motivation to have this research-based education, and which is implemented through different means that we will expose later on in this presentation. Of course, on the right-hand side of this slide, you can see the usual virtuous circle that we also want to achieve in the cyber school, connecting academia, industry, and that will also be a very important part. And we already started very actively to involve the companies in the programs, and I will again explain why and how later on. Then, if we look at the dynamics of a project, because we said, okay, it's a project. It's a project and also not a project. It's a project in the sense that we are specifically supported by the National Research Agency to build this cyber school based on existing assets that we have on the territory and through the 15 partners that we have. And so we have, let's say, until 2029 to create this object. But of course, then it will be there to last and continue expanding. And when you look at the dynamics, it's really a matter of federating efforts. It's really a matter of enlarging the offering, being more visible and attractive to students, and putting together our strengths. In Rennes, the 10 partners and 5 laboratories already run, of course, training programs. We already had, before the project start, 2 master programs at the University of Renouard in cybersecurity. We already had in the engineering schools that are partners tracks dedicated to cybersecurity in the engineering track. And so the key challenge is to bring these assets together, to build something that will be more valuable in terms of ability to attract students, to offer a broad portfolio of training programs that we call majors and minors, to cover the main areas in cybersecurity. And so we have different phases in the project that will basically consist in many different tasks and objects and instruments that we will build, but primarily it will be around 2 principles. One is to offer a master program, a diploma of master in cybersecurity that will be the one from the CyberSchool, that will encompass the different, the whole portfolio that we have in the CyberSchool, and that will be available, of course, for the students from the university, but also for the students of the engineering schools. And these students from the engineering schools will be able to get a double diploma from their school plus the master of the CyberSchool. So that's let's say a formal and institutional approach to the federation of our assets. There is another approach to that, which is more by the development of cooperation and pedagogical cooperation, primarily between the teachers in cybersecurity, so that we leverage our assets, all this portfolio of courses that are already existing, to enlarge them, to improve them, to share pedagogical resources, and so on. So that's another aspect of the dynamics in this project. So you see two ways to that. One is top-down from the institutions, the cooperation of institutions, and one is bottom-up from the cooperation of the teachers, with the same goal to broaden the portfolio of training programs in the CyberSchool, to be more visible and attractive, and produce more professionals and young researchers in cybersecurity. Now I will leave the floor to Bernard.
Okay, thank you. So, in fact, when we begin to create a project, we look at what was the asset in Rennes in cybersecurity, in research in cybersecurity. And so there were some researchers in cryptography, in software and system security, and in formal methods and security. By the way, we also see that So there is some emerging problem in cybersecurity, and the IoT, there is a more and more security problem and vulnerability in IoT system. Also, hardware security is a very important problem. And so we decided to add to the three research topic, hardware security. By the way, we also see that there are a lot of security problems in machine learning, either because there can be some security problem in machine learning, for instance, when the data are not protected and we are running such software, so there can be some problem. Also, it is important to see if these algorithms are robust against some attack, and if we want to build an autonomous car, and if the car see instead of seeing some traffic signal, you see another as a stop, you see that we can go, so there can be some problem. And so we decided to add the AI security as another research topic. And that's the reason why we also look at some the INSA, which is a school in machine learning. And also we see that there is a lot of problem with privacy and with humanities and social science. And so this is a topic that is more and more in the international conference in security. And so we decided to add this topic to our research topic. And so that's the reason why we are also Sciences Po Rennes and University of Rennes 2 in the project. So altogether, we define this research topic with some specific research line in this 6 domain. And for instance, I can explain you what kind of research we do at IRISA. So we have a lot of researchers in post-quantum cryptography. So we are dealing with lattice-based crypto mainly. We have also some researchers in symmetric cryptography. And for instance, one of our teachers has participated to the recent attack on the GPRS system used in the GSM network. So this attack has been related in a lot of different conversation by Bruce Nair. And we also have some teachers that are doing reverse engineering on the DRM system used by Google. It is called Widewine because it's the company that begin to sell such product. And so we have some teachers that are that have been rewarded some bug bounty by Google and Netflix because they broke the system and they inform Google and Netflix in order to increase and improve the security of their system. So there are a lot of researchers. We also are interested in welcome a new researcher and teacher in the cyber school and in all of these 6 topics. So we think that we cover maybe not all, but a large part of all security vulnerabilities. So how is organized the curricula? So we are in fact in two-year program. So during the first semester, all students are to follow some general courses, and some introduction course in all the aspect of security, for instance, in network security, in system security, in software security. And during the second semester, students have to decide what will be the major. So the major are in fact the same as 6 topics, research topics that I presented before. And they have also to follow a minor. And so the minor can be not all the course of a major, but student can pick 1 or 2 courses in some other major. During the first year, students also have to follow a research project. So they spend half a day per week in some security lab, in some security team at IRISA, IETR, or IRMA, and they practice science and research with either researcher or a PhD student. At the end of the first year, they have to do an internship, either in a lab or in a company. And during the second year, so the second year is classical. During the third semester, so the students have to follow their major. So the major is has mainly 6 different courses and some minor. So there are 2 or some. So the minor can be seen as some option for the student if they want to. And we usually there is a lot of courses that are shared between all the major. And during the 4th semester, at the end, student has to do an internship. And the internship can be either in a company or in a lab. And at the end of this curricula, student can decide to follow by a PhD or to do a PhD with a company. And also this year we begin that during the second year, students can also be part of their time in a company and the other part in the academia. So this was in fact asked by the industry that to have a student and to train also students in their company. And so we decided to incorporate in the program this possibility for the student. Students also, we encourage students to have an international experience, either during some of the internships that they have or during their PhD program. So now I can see maybe Frédéric will present you how all the majors are organized.
Yes, so this is the view of what will be the portfolio of programs in the CyberSchool Master in a couple of years from now. There will be 6 majors and a bunch of minors, so at least 6 on the same topics, plus others. Currently, we have opened the first 2 as majors, so cryptography and software and system security. And we have opened hardware security as a minor. I will first explain a bit what is behind this in terms of the target skills and competencies, and also the students that go into these majors. But yeah, you see, and then I will also tell you a bit more about the dynamics of developing so 6 majors and a bunch of minors in a couple of years, because of course it is a bit challenging, and it's part of what is interesting, I guess, with this kind of project. So first in cryptography, so I guess what is important to point out here is that so it is of course intensive in mathematics and applied mathematics, but at the end of this program, the students will also gain a good level of competencies in computer science. So they will be like really dually skilled in that respect. There is a good bunch of teachers that are researchers in mathematics in this major, and most of the time the students that we recruit here have a bachelor in mathematics. So that's about cryptography. Then we have a major in software and system security that is also running already, and that is of course more focused on computer science. And we've also, of course, some cryptography in it, but of course a focus on computer science. We've here again teachers and researchers that come more from the laboratories in computer science at INSA notably, and with students that basically would come from bachelors in computer science. Hardware security is already opened this year as a minor. So we've already some courses that have been created. Here we see students that come with computer science or electronics background, and they will be taught about, okay, I will not repeat what is written on the slide, but it has very much to do also with IoT and so on. So they will, and embedded systems and so on. So that's typically the way we develop now the new programs, where we start by offering a minor with a couple of courses and then grow that into a major later on. Formal methods and security, it's more theoretic and with static analysis and model checking and so on. So that's here you will see students from different profiles, but you will see there students from the École Normale Supérieure that you may know in France. Then the other majors will be developed later on. And now let me tell a bit more about the dynamics of that. We have been building the CyberSchool first, well, in the first year, based on two pre-existing master programs that had tracks in cryptography for one and in software and system security for the other. And so we have been building from that, and we have been transforming them a lot with new courses, with a new framework, a new architecture that is along the lines that Pierre-Alain explained just before. And now we opened a new minor on hardware security, and now the dynamics is this one, that when we tackle a new domain of the 6 corresponding to the research pillars, we first offer it as a minor, and then when we can reasonably expect to have like 20 students in a major on that domain, then we open as a major. And when also we have been able to secure enough courses and enough teaching resources, of course. But so the point is there. So usually the situation is that we would open as a minor in year N, and then as a major in year N+1. So that's basically the ideal scheme. And so this is our roadmap. So, and of course, you see the point. We have to secure let's say, enough students to make sure that when we open a major, we have at least 20 students. 30 students is a good number for a major. This is what we have this year, a bit more for cryptography and software and system security. And so this is a kind of what we target. Then if we go deeper, it's just to give you the flavor of what kind of courses we have currently in the programs. So you see here courses from the software and system security major primarily. So you see the kind of topics. So it's as you have seen from the general architecture of these programs, these are the courses of the first year. But you see already that we go from the more generic courses in the first semester to more specialized courses in the second semester. And in the second year, you would see even more advanced courses and specialized courses with a strong options system. So in the first semester, you see introductory courses and refreshers on many topics, and half of the courses that are already very much targeting security and that are actually giving the foundations, and that would be common to several majors. In the second semester, you start to have courses that are more advanced, of course. So that's the goal, what we have been able to achieve, and this is a point which is interesting from an architectural standpoint in this kind of program, is that we're able to cope with minors of different sizes and to still offer some flexibility for the students to choose one major plus one minor plus some options. So that's of course quite interesting. So this was for the master programs. And what about the doctoral track? And because as you remember, the doctoral level is also clearly a target for the CyberSchool. And here, the goal for us is to offer an added value track, a value adding track, let's say, to all doctoral candidates in the CyberSchool perimeter that have to do with cybersecurity, whatever the funding of their PhD thesis. Means we don't have to be the funder of their PhD thesis to support them. We offer a doctoral training track to all the doctoral candidates that have to do with cybersecurity on our territory. And that's, of course, very important. We have a potential of 80 to 90 doctoral candidates that are currently doing their PhD thesis in the domain. The doctoral track is currently being designed. It will be launched in 6 to 8 months from now. So the goal is to offer to the doctoral candidates a portfolio of and access to a portfolio of activities that are mentioned here on a high level on the right side. So they will have access to courses in cybersecurity, either to go deeper in some topics or to have a broader understanding and a broader perspective on cybersecurity. I mean, broader than their PhD thesis subject. They will also have access to an international mobility, to a mobility in a company. They will have access to professional events in cybersecurity. They will be able to use the CyberSchool to network, to build their professional network, to teach in cybersecurity, and so on. So they will have access to a portfolio of instruments that we will, in some cases, organize, that we will, in some cases, financially support, even if we do not organize. And so that's the way it will work. Of course, the courses will be, at least in part, courses that are from the master school, from the master programs of the CyberSchool. So it will be, well, courses that will be specifically opened to doctoral candidates. And so they will have access to a rather large and very targeted portfolio of courses. And what is the goal of all of that? It's really to bring additional competencies, skills, and experiences to the doctoral candidates in cybersecurity. So, I mean, beyond their research work. So we can see that it will be as we say here, either to broaden or deepen their competencies in cybersecurity. It can be about transverse skills, soft skills. It can be about increasing their industry connection and understanding of industry ways of working. And it can be also in terms of international exposure. So this is what we want to bring to the doctoral candidates. And what is very important is that it will be it will bring value whatever the career that is contemplated by the doctoral candidates, whether they want to continue in academia or go to industry. And that's very important because, well, as you know, it's not easy for the students themselves to know ahead of time if they will be able to continue in academia or go to industry. And so it's really interesting for them if they can broaden, if they have an opportunity to broaden their skills, their skill set to be like adaptable to different job opportunities and different job perspectives. It's really a value for them. And it's also for us a way to attract in the doctoral in the doctorate students that maybe wouldn't have chosen to do that if there was not this doctoral training track. So we want to also increase the attractiveness of a doctorate with this track. So so all this to say that with a CyberSchool, okay, there is this goal to bring value to master level students, doctoral candidates. We have many activities that we are starting now to really offer them a premium experience, offering them many opportunities to meet together, to get conferences on topics, of course, in relation with cybersecurity and so on. So we want them to be really happy to be there because they know they will get a lot of value from their studies, but also they will be part of a CyberSchool and network and have access to unique activities, even extracurricular activities. It's also, of course, a value for researchers because they will get privileged access to talents, and hopefully we will succeed in our goal to make research more attractive for students and prepare them better continue in a doctoral thesis. So that's of course a key goal. But now, what about our stakeholders? Because it's not only about students and researchers. It's also about companies, for instance. And here we have developed in the first year of a CyberSchool a whole portfolio of services that we offer to companies. As we said at the beginning of the presentation, companies are eager to recruit talents. They daily need talents in cybersecurity, and we offer them many ways to increase their contact surface with our students. So we have developed several opportunities for that. Every week, we have time slots dedicated to companies so that they can present their company, their professions in cybersecurity. Because, well, as you can guess, students don't always have a very good perception of what are the real jobs behind their studies and following their studies. And so that's very useful for them anyway to have these testimonials from companies on what is it to do cybersecurity with them. And so we also have companies that are giving courses, so as professionals, of course. That's of course kind of very controlled, because we also have to make sure that we have the level of quality that is required for this cyber school. But this is a real opportunity for companies. We have challenge-based projects, so where students can work on challenges that are posted by companies. Of course, we handle internships offers for companies. As you have seen, we have internship opportunities in the architecture of our master programs. And so that's we also have a formula, as we said, where it's the second year of master that can be as a work study under a work study model, so where the students would share their time between a job in a company and studying at the cyber school. And also, of course, there are opportunities for industry thesis. You know, in France, we have this CIFRE model that is quite successful and good in terms of course, increasing the surface, the contact surface between research and industry. Another aspect on which we would like to come back, because I guess what is interesting with the cyber school, really, it's two things. It's what we try to produce in terms of skill sets and master and doctoral level profiles, but it's also the way we try to build this object, which is the cyber school, through by federating the assets from a bunch of partners. And so, as I said at the beginning, there are really two ways to do it that have to be used both. One is a top-down, so growing the institutional cooperation with a co-accredited master, double diplomas, and so on. The other is bottom-up, by fostering the pedagogical cooperation between teachers. And so here, and this is something that is still ahead of us, that we are going to develop in the until mid next year. It's to grow a teachers' community of practice in cybersecurity, meaning teachers that are from the domain of cybersecurity and that see an interest, and we will have to show and build this interest, see an interest in sharing their practices, in co-designing courses together, in co-designing pedagogical resources together, in executing courses together, in improving them, and so on, in innovating in education together. And so this is something that has been experienced in other networks of universities, either on a European level or national level. And so this is something that we really want to develop here, because we think it's really appropriate. And it is based, of course, on support that we're able to offer to the teachers to cooperate. It's also based on some instruments that we are implementing right now. One is a shared course catalog. So with that is actually a catalog of all the courses that we have in cybersecurity at the partners. So university, engineering schools, and so on. And with an ability to then build on that and open them to students outside of their establishment that created the course, and so on. So have really a structured and open course catalog. Have a portfolio of shared pedagogical resources, either developed by teachers in the CyberSchool or purchased. Same with pedagogical equipments. We have a possibility with the CyberSchool to to invest in pedagogical equipments, whether it is a cyber range or things like that, and that are hardware equipments and systems that that can be in which we can invest as a cyberschool, and that can be then used by all the teachers. Same with conferences, a series of conferences that we're launching right now that are available to, so these are like CyberSchool conferences that are available for all the students from partners in the CyberSchool. So all these are instruments for cooperation to let's say, foster and foster cooperation and make it tangible. And so this is, I guess, this will be very important for the success of the CyberSchool, our ability to really develop this cooperation and this teachers' community of practice. Then another aspect which is very important for the CyberSchool is the international development and cooperation. So this is with the goal, of course, to broaden even more the portfolio of available training path that will be available to our students. So to enrich our education offering, it's also to initiate cooperations that may ultimately transform in research cooperation. And we see that there is often a path between cooperating in education and then cooperating in research. It can also, of course, go the other way around, and that's very clear. And actually, we have a dual approach to international cooperation. One is through networks that are like structured networks usually on a European level. So these are the two examples that are here on the right side of the slide, and also bilateral cooperation. And so this is a message. We are eager to work with universities, teachers, researchers that are interested in cooperating on education or research. And This can take, of course, many different forms. If we stick to the educational level, of course, ultimately, there are these models of European double degree programs, but as you may imagine, this is not easier to implement. This is quite heavy, good but heavy. But there are many other possibilities that are much lighter, like offering a course in virtual mobility, meaning, okay, I am in Potsdam, I deliver a course for students that are in Potsdam or Rennes. It can be other forms of pedagogical cooperation, sharing pedagogical resources, whatever. It can be offering internships to students. It can be organizing seminars that can be, for instance, end of November here, we have a research seminar, so co-organized by the CyberSchool and the EDUC network. I will tell a bit more about it later on. The EDUC, and this seminar will be to identify research opportunities between researchers from Rennes and the other universities of the EDUC Alliance. So this is the kind of things that there are many opportunities to foster this cooperation on an international level, and we are, of course, going to develop it further, and that's a strong goal. Here, to tell you more about the two networks that are mentioned. So EDUC is a European University Alliance. So it's a cooperation alliance, cooperation in education and research, and that has been developed. So Rennes, the University of Rennes is involved in a European University Alliance, which is named EDUC. So with 6 partner universities right now, probably 2 more in a couple of months. And so they are in Italy, Germany, Hungary, and Czech Republic. And the other network is EIT Digital. So that's a knowledge and innovation community from the EIT. And here we have a very structured cooperation, because it's based on a double degree program where students can do their first year in France, so in Rennes, Italy, Finland, Netherlands, Hungary, and their second year in the other country. And with a program that is coordinated, so the first and second year are really coordinated, so that it makes sense, of course, to make a first year in one country and the second year in another. And at the end, the students get a double diploma, and so on. And what is interesting then is that, okay, in each university, there is there are specific areas of expertise. So it's really interesting, of course, for students to have access to this network and be able to design their track to do according to their wills and goals for the future. So that's kind of the heavy approach, but there are many other ways to cooperate that are much easier to implement. So I guess that's it. And so thank you very much. I guess we are, of course, looking forward to seeing you on our networks. Here you have the contacts. And now I guess there will be some questions.
Very good. I clap the hands, representative for the audience that you did not see, and I also did not see. So in the future, the series is also planned on site. So I really loved your talk. It was great, and I really admire your passion of setting this up, because I can only imagine how much work this was. So how much time was it in the end? When did you have the idea? How did you come up with the idea to set up this cyber school?
So the idea began in 2018, in fact, and so we, as we told, there were a lot of different curricula in Rennes, and so we think that for students it's not a good idea to have so many possibilities to do training in cybersecurity. So one of the goals is in fact to simplify for students the different topic, and try to also put together all the knowledge of the different teachers and organize them so that it makes sense for students to do a major and to be specialized in hardware security, or in cryptography, or in some other topics. So we try to, in fact, propose a curricula for all of these research area, but they are not only research, it's, I think, important also for professionals. And I think in the future, the students have to be not just aware on all the topic of cybersecurity, but that must be specialized, in fact. And we see that there is a lot of different attacks. And we also talk with some professionals, and they explain us that they have some students that are expert in pen testing, but they only know pen testing. And so they know some tool to do pen test, but they are not aware of all the area of the other area in cybersecurity. That's the reason why we decided, in fact, to propose the idea of using two different, so one major and one minor. And so the last point is also to have some engineering school, is that in the engineering school in France, so there are a lot of very good students. A lot of students can do and maybe can be interested in working research. And in some engineering schools, they have not this possibility because they don't know what is research. So our goal is, in fact, to propose a research internship in real lab during the first year of the master, so that students can decide and see if they are interested in working in research or not. And so our goal, in fact, is really to motivate a lot of very good students in this school to do research. So that's why we are mixing people from university, researcher, and engineering school.
Okay, very, very good. And also, of course, this research dimension, I find it, of course, as a researcher, also very important. In this process of mounting the school, how or what was the most difficult thing in bringing these 10 partners together? So was it like you opened doors and they were like, oh yeah, that's great, let us start this? Or how did you convince them to participate? Can you share a little bit your secrets about that?
It's not completely easy, but I think it's interesting for in some engineering school there are not a lot of different teachers. So and also at École Normale Supérieure of Rennes. And so the goal, in fact, is that maybe if we are together, we can propose a more structure and more in-depth course for the student. For instance, at INSA Rennes, there are only 2 people that are doing cybersecurity. And so they can teach, but maybe not all of the different subjects. And so the important point is that using this master, students from INSA Rennes can have some schools at INSA, but it can also follow some course of at the university. So, for instance, also for Centrale Supelec, they have a very good teaching, a very good teacher, but they also want that their student can follow research level courses. And so for these specific courses, they can send us their students. So I think each partner can have these specialities. And for some specific course that they cannot teach, I think it is important to have some cooperation between the different partners.
Very good. I'd like to add something.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
In terms of a key challenge, it is that if you try to build the cooperation, staying at the institutional level, it's not enough. You will not succeed, because you have something that is called academic autonomy, meaning that the teachers and researchers are essentially rather free to do whatever they like in terms of investing their time in what is bringing well, added value for them. And so that's why we see as key to succeed in the project, to develop this bottom-up approach where we will build cooperation between the teachers, leveraging things that are interesting for them individually. So here we don't talk about the institutional level, we talk about really what is bringing value to the teachers and researchers as individuals. And fortunately, there are, of course, different ways to bring value to them. And this is what we have to develop.
Very good. And follow-up question that we have to that. So how is the interrelation with the different institutions? So you have these 10 institutions and you have the CyberSchool. So they send their students to stay with the CyberSchool, or the students are inscribed with the CyberSchool and following the curriculum at the CyberSchool and only partially going to the institutions? Or how is the link between the institutions and the CyberSchool? What is the bodies that are existing there?
Okay, so this is a very good question, and yes, we thought about it. And so we begin, in fact, by creating a network between some institutions and or partners that work together already. For instance, at the university, also the École Normale Supérieure of Rennes share a lot of course with the university. And afterward, we have begun to talk with engineering school. So for them, we see that they have some slots that are available during the week. For instance, I don't remember, but for INSA, it's on Thursday morning, maybe for Centrale Supelec is Thursday afternoon. I don't remember all of the different slots. But we think to put a specific course that are interesting for this engineering school during this period, so that students can spend half a day per week for specific courses that are taught at the university. So I think all of the different partners are on the same campus. So I think the IMTA and Centrale Supelec spend 10 minutes walk for the student. I think it's not possible to have different courses during the same half a day. But if we specialize also course for some school during half a day, I think it's possible to have this opportunity. So the second question is about how the student follows the different kind of course. so that students will be, in fact, registered by their institution. For instance, a student from INSA or IMT will still be student from this engineering school, but they will, in fact, follow an extra program. And for this, they will be rewarded with another diploma. So this is a very specific program. Maybe not all students from Centrale Supelec or the other will follow this specific program, but we really want to have many more students in order to present them what is research at a first-year master program.
Okay, and as you said, it's like a double diploma, and they have a double degree at the end. Does that involve, or how much extra work does that involve? So if I'm inscribed with Renouard, for example, and now I say, okay, I want to follow this double degree, do I have shared courses where I can benefit from that? It was in my curriculum anyways. Is it something totally separate? Is there two theses at the end when I think about the master program, for instance, or how is that handled?
Do you want to answer? Yeah, maybe I can answer.
I can start. Actually, the idea is that, so if you take a student from an engineering school, he will still take some of the cybersecurity courses from his school. And then, let's say this will be the kernel from the cybersecurity track from his school. Then he will have some other courses probably coming from the university or another school to complement that, and that will replace other courses that are, let's say, that will be replaced in the same way that you do for Erasmus Mobility, for instance. So he will. So then these courses, additional courses, will replace other courses from his engineering school track. So that's good for him because it will not be additional work for the student. But then there will be a third part of the courses that will be there. Then extra, well, additional, extra that will be as extra ECTS. And so all in all, what we think, but we still have to discuss with the engineering schools to tune that. But all in all, we think that there will be an additional effort for the students that want this double diploma. But we will tune it so that it is manageable and obviously it will be worth the effort, let's say.
Very good. And what title will I have when I'm a student who graduated from the cyber school? Do you already know that?
I don't know because it will depend on the different partners, but for me, I think that it will be nice if so the student follow the research internship during the first year at least, and then some 2 or 3, or it will depend, maybe 1, I don't know. So course given by the master. So this is a system that is already working. Because at Rennes there is what is called the research master, so it's already cohabitate with all these different partners, and so some students from IMT spend 2 courses at the university, and they are rewarded with this diploma. So I think it's something that is already working and manageable, and so I think it can be interesting for students. So also what we want to add for all students for this partner is to have some conference, and so we aim to attract all these students for the conference. So the conference will be given on Wednesday at 6:30 in order so that there will no course in all of the partner. And so we plan to have people speaking about Pegasus or other attack. And so this will be open to all students of all partners. And so also we want to have some CTF or capture the flag event between the students of all this university. I think it can be something that shared by all the students, and we really want that the students of all partners will know and have something to gain by coming at the graduate school.
Very, very nice, and also very exciting for me to exchange with you in this phase where there's still the things that are changing a bit and so on. So yeah, really, really good. So
yeah, if you have someone to present, I think that this event, I think, can be shared by all the teachers, and I really think that something about very new attack and that can attract all the students, even if they are not interested in cybersecurity. I think it would be a good idea.
Yeah, and I also like the concept because it's also raising the awareness of cybersecurity, which is very important. Like this series also has this goal. So I have a couple of questions that are related to the forming of the curriculum, influence of the industry companies, also skills the students are interested in. So could you elaborate a little bit more on the process, how you created the curriculum? So you said a little bit that the teachers were involved heavily in the sense that they had some course content that they could bring in. So this definitely played a role, but I could imagine that also the companies played a role, maybe the military part of the school gave some input in the sense that these would be competencies that you definitely should have. Maybe you did a survey or something like that. So could you describe a little bit how you came to your curriculum and who, what were major influences?
Yeah. So yeah, in fact, the master now from the software and system security, in fact, is quite old in Rennes. It begins, I think, in around 2006. And so at that time, there are only one or two people in security. But as you told, the military DGA around Rennes, in fact, was very active, in fact, to develop such master. And so we, at the beginning, we asked, in fact, some experts at DGA to teach in this master, so a student can have the opportunity to have a very good expert in this area. And so we decided to ask them to give some course, because at the beginning, the researcher at the university, there are not a lot of researcher, and so we do not cover all of this aspect. So we ask them to teach in the master. We also ask people from company, and because we think that at the beginning a lot of the students will be hired in this company, and so it's important that people from company present what they are doing and what they want. So now during the graduate school, we shift a bit, because we try to, so now our goal is not to build all the course with the company, but we think that now it's important also to have some course which are given by professor at the university. So we know that there are some trainings that use a lot of different of people working in some company, and maybe all the teacher from company. We think that it's maybe possible for some students, but it's not a good idea because there are some redundancy between the different courses, and the program is not appropriate, and so there is also not so many relationship between the different courses. And so this was in fact the goal of the architecture of the program, is in fact to see that we put this course during the first year, which will be some introductory course, and then during the second year, more specialized course. But the course from the second year will reuse what the student learned during the first year. So this is not possible in this program. Now it's completely integrated during the master, and our aim is in fact to have a very specialized course. So it's possible to have a very specialized course once people know some introduction course. If they have only some introductory course, we think that they cannot be expert. They will know a lot of things, but definitely they will not be expert in some specific topic in cybersecurity.
As you are, as you are experts, like from an industry perspective and also from the university perspective, long time, would you say that the topic of cybersecurity changed throughout the past 10 years? For instance, would you have, if you would have mounted the CyberSchool 10 years ago, would you have focused on different topics, or would you say that it's quite stable regarding the competencies, especially the basic competencies that people need?
No. I think it's. I think it changed really a lot during these 10 years. I think. For instance, it's as Frédéric told, it's not easy for students to know what are the jobs in cybersecurity, and so there are pen testers. So maybe it's the idea of security that the students have, because they want to do cybersecurity, to hack some system, and pen testing is one of the topics where they can do such things. But in fact, it's really changed, and we discussed recently with some company, and they explain us that they have a pen tester, but they know only pen test in cybersecurity. And so after this working experience, they cannot know what they can do else, what they can do after this experiment. And sometimes they quit and leave completely the area of cybersecurity because they know only pen test. And they go to do some development in computer science. And so we think that we have to explain to students all of the different kind of jobs they can have after these studies. And also we also see a new subject that can be interesting for this kind of people. For instance, as I told, I think 10 years ago, so the development of IoT was very limited. So the hardware security in France, at least, was very specific to a smart card. And nowadays, we see a lot of IoT system, and a lot of them are developed very quickly with no awareness of security. And so there is a lot of attack that can be developed. And so we think that it's a good topic to have a very good students in this area. We also see that maybe machine learning and security is a very important topic. So we see that this topic developed, I think, less than 5 years ago. And so, as I told, cybersecurity, machine learning is is also can be used by cybersecurity, or cybersecurity can also be used by machine learning. So I think that there is a close relationship between these two. And so I think that in Rennes currently there are at least 5 and 10 PhD on this kind of subject between malware security and machine learning. And so machine learning is used in various topics in cybersecurity, and I think it's a good point. And the last topic is humanities and social science, where currently is not clear what kind of jobs it can do after, but we are currently working on defining a program for this kind of students.
Well, is interdisciplinarity playing an important role in the cybersecurity according to what you created there?
Yeah. So we try to have some interdisciplinarity by using the mechanism of using some major and some minor, so that students can have a good flavor. And also during the doctoral program, we also try to enlarge the knowledge of the PhD, because sometimes they are very specific from some for instance, some people that are working on formal security can work on static analysis, something which is very specific. And I think it's good that such people also have a broader knowledge on other aspects so that they can understand more and more research. So I really think that interdisciplinarity is a good point for cybersecurity. And we also see that in a very big conference, so that in the CCS, for instance, there are papers about politics or more general usability issue in cybersecurity. And so the topic is growing. And also I see some paper about some social analysis of what why users are using secure messaging system, and why they are not using this system. What is the impact of the security for people? So I think it's really important to have such studies, because sometimes researchers think about very specific things, but they lose completely what is the goal. And sometimes it is interesting to realize why they are doing this and why they are not.
Very good. Quantum computing, when would you introduce that one to the curriculum? Do you think it's something that will come in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years?
I think it's important we incorporate this for the program in cryptography, because so in this area it's really well developed. And so students at IMA have a course in quantum cryptography. We also try to attract some researchers in this area. And I am optimistic to attract someone on this area that explain to other students this area. So I think
yes. Sorry.
So for the other student, I think it's interesting for them to know what is such the power of a quantum computer. I think that they have to know and understand what is the current research, what currently we can do with such a machine. I think it's not really a quantum computer now. We can build only some machines that work with quantum mechanics, but they are not real computer. And so I think that it's interesting for all students to understand what are this area and why this building quantum computer can be devastating for security. But I think it's more just an introduction. I think it's sufficient for most of the students.
Very good. Thank you very much for this opinion on that. Very good. We still have a couple of more questions, but not so much more time. Therefore, I will just go for 2 more questions. So the first one, you talked about the Cyber Valley. You talked about internships that are part of the study program, which I like a lot. How do you support the students in finding these internships? Do you have a list of possible internships which they can choose? Do you say you have to find a company yourself and then later we will tell you if it's good or not? So how is the process there?
So we have
yeah, a few words on that. Actually, in the operations of a cyber school, we have what we call the development role, and the person in charge, notably, is in charge of growing a network of partner companies, and that are eager to propose internships, subjects. And so, yes, what we offer to the students is basically privileged access to these internships topics. And as I said, also, we offer to companies the opportunity to come and present themselves to the students and present their internship subjects and so on. So yes, well, basically, it remains a responsibility of the students to find an internship, but we help them a lot.
Very good. And also very good because it helps them to be like independent and also self-motivated in finding something, which I always consider very important for then keeping them also interested in doing it, because they had to invest in the first hand. So I like the approach a lot. And now the last question, I profit again from having the 2 major minds behind the cyber school in front of me. So if you would put yourself back with your knowledge from today to 2018 and would restart the process, what would you make differently? What was the biggest failures that you want to share, or the biggest successes that you didn't expect? Maybe you can share some 2, 3 things about that, which would be super interesting, because yeah, I mean, you did it, and so. It was so many things.
Maybe,
sure.
Yes, maybe we maybe more communication with all teachers, I think, but quite recently there are a lot of new teachers in cybersecurity that arrive in Rennes. And so it's quite difficult to integrate everyone in this project. I think something that will be nice is that if more teachers participate to the administration and organization of the project. Yeah. But it's, as Frederic told, it's not easy to force a researcher or teacher to participate if they don't want. So we maybe have to explain us more what they can gain if they participate to the project. And for some researchers, they already have all what they want, and so they are not interested in participate. but I think it's important for the Rennes Valley and for all the company and all the university that some teacher in each partner are involved in the project.
Very good. So yeah, time progressed. It's always flying. Yeah, you can add something if you want.
Yeah. So, sorry. Thank you, Marc-Oliver. And something I want to have for the student, for the teacher, is that I think we can propose. I think it would be nice if all the teacher can work together to propose some not a CTF, but some websites such as CryptoHack or CryptoPal or other RootMe website, where we can share a lot of exercise for students or for people that are not in Rennes to see what they can learn if they follow our course. So I think that now it's important to have something for promoting and for aggregating all the teachers in some teaching program.
Very good. And from the presentation, the people know now a little bit more about the great things behind and within the program. So I hope also that more people will join it, because cybersecurity, big issue. The 1.5 hours are more than over right now, so the time is always flying in the series. So thank you very much. What I loved especially about your talk is that it's this dimension of forming, educating students, which are then the next workforces that are doing something for cybersecurity. And as I always say, and there were also questions for that, but we just didn't have time. So for me, cybersecurity is something that everybody has to have at least some knowledge in, because without cybersecurity, with the digital transformation that we have and the systems and algorithms that are taking more and more bigger roles in our lives, without security, we are really lost. And therefore, thank you very much for all the efforts that you put in there in this super important program. And I really wish you that this will really grow, and you will have lots of students that will be coming, joining this and communicating about it as you did today, and tell the positive sides about it, the interaction with the companies and so on. So a really great thing. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the speaker series continues. So on the 27th of October, we'll have a presentation by Sebastian Labitzke and Jens Köhler from ITK Engineering in Germany, and they will be talking about cybersecurity risk analysis. So it's probably a more technical topic again. And as we were talking about trainings, organized, co-organized also by the German-French Academy for the Industry of the Future, and also the chair CyberCNI and IMT and several other partners, we are running a winter school end of November, and you find more information on that at schoolfutureiot.org, so school.future-iot.org. You also find it on the websites of the chair and on the GFA and several other ones. And you're cordially invited to participate. There will also have a lot of interesting talks, a hackathon, and the possibility to participate on site and online. So if you're interested, don't hesitate to inform yourself. Great. So thanks again. That was the 10th edition of Talk CyberCNI. FR, and that brings me to saying you have a great evening, and share the info about the series, share the stream so that even more people can watch it, and join us again next month. CyberSchool, mounting the first graduate cybersecurity school in France.
The graduate school, CyberSchool, for the training in cybersecurity. Goal of this project is to double the number of trainees in cybersecurity. 10 partners in Rennes, IMT Atlantique, Centrale Supelec, INSA Rennes. We will present the ecosystem, how we create this project, what is the objective, how we deal with all the management of the school. I'm glad to have doubled the number of students at the university.
Cher CyberCNI, pôle d'excellence région Bretagne. Au revoir et à la prochaine.